All right. It's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today with a gentleman with the best eyebrows in Australian MMA, the most dog heads tattooed on his chest, and the international Vegemite ambassador of Australia, Joseph Luciano. How are you, bro?
I'm good, mate. That's quite the intro. Thanks, Toby. Yeah, just I'm currently out in Thailand, so I got my phone propped up on an aircon remote. So if the screen gets messed up, we'll start that again, and I'll prop it back up. But yeah, things are going good, man. Things are real good out here.
Yeah, man. I heard you say you're polishing the turd down in Thailand. I heard you say in one of your interviews.
Something like that.
So tell me about the experience down there, man. You've been going backwards and forwards for some time by the sound of it, man. You obviously like it there, right?
Yeah, so for the last, I think it's coming up to nearly 12 months now, I've sort of split my time between Melbourne and Phuket. We've got a gym out here, Absolute MMA, as well as the three we've got in Melbourne. So been fortunate enough to, you know, be able to spend a lot of time out here and work on my Muay Thai and, just dial in and get away from the distractions of general home life and all of that. I'm coming to sort of like the peak of my career. So it's nice to be able to lock in and have a bit of change of scenery too. It's good, really good.
Bro, have you got a wife or girlfriend back in Australia?
I've got a wife, man. Yeah,
She's not
yeah.
she's not concerned that you've got another wife over in Thailand, or
Oh, look, I'm sure she's pretty concerned about that, but she's probably more happy to be rid of me. I think. I'm pretty hard work. I've got a lot of energy, and I'm kind of like a ADD kid drinking red cordial all the time. So it's probably nice for her to have a bit of a break. And she's actually off to Bali herself. So, what's the saying? Time away makes the heart grow fonder or something like that. I don't know. It's working for us. It's working for us, though,
that's it,
for
man.
sure.
I mean, it's a nice thing to do, right? To be able to head overseas and train. And Thailand's a nice country. It's not too expensive relative to Australia, so it's a good place to go and train. Why not?
Yeah, I think anywhere compared to Oz is a bit more livable at the moment with everything going on back home. So Phuket's expensive for Thailand, but for us it's cheap, and the weather's good. Melbourne's not that great this time of the year, and yeah, cost of living's cheap. You can fuel yourself with some good food, and the training and everything's fucking awesome, man. So good.
Man, I what pops into my head straight away when I think of Thailand now is those graphic images by Tim Schultz that he's been posting on the Instagram of the small sort of staph infection that ended up just destroying his leg.
It was absolutely horrific. Like Tim and I obviously knew each other from the local scene and fighting on Eternal and all of that. And then we actually linked up here, trained a bit together, and then we both were fighting on the same Eternal card. And he got staph, a different staph to the infection he's got, and he had to bail on the event. And then we were just talking, and he came out here as well again. And he came down to Absolute, and we were just having a chat and met up with another mate of ours. And yeah, what a turn of events! Like, my heart bleeds for him still. Like, he's in the clear and he's going to live and all of that. But fuck me, lucky there was some good people around him, and the Aussie up martial arts community really. It was impressive to see everyone sort of band together and put their hand in their pocket, which everyone that does this probably isn't raking it in, and hand out their hard earned and basically saved his life. Like, it was fucking horrific, man.
It's crazy, man. Have you had staph before at all?
Um, I've had I've probably had it 6 times over the last 15 years.
Mm.
Two of those were just your general take your antibiotics and you're good, and three of them I ended up in hospital back home. Um, I had to go under and have a pretty major surgery on my arm at one point, probably 5 years ago, which it just turned like it was an infection, and then within 5 hours my arm turned into a lobster. And lucky I was back home at the time and went into Frank's good old Frankston emergency, and they within 5 minutes they put me in, and I was straight away in on an IV and then surgery the next day. I had one fairly recently that caused me a bit of trouble as well, where I had to have a surgery, and because I was pretty close to a fight, I didn't want to go under with, you know, having all the drugs and everything. So they actually operated on me with a local instead of putting me under. And that was fucking horrific to see. Like, you know, what you see on the surface is bad. And then, you know, as you saw with Schultze, like, it's a crime scene. Looks like something out of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's real bad, man. It's so aggressive, right? Like, I've only ever had like a small case, but that was bad enough. Like, just had a little dot on my leg. It just felt hot and it was something wrong. So I went to the doctor straight away. And in a few days, it was like this marble-shaped hole in my knee, man, just of eating it away. And yeah, had to go every single day for treatment. It's a nasty thing, eh?
Yeah, it's wild. It's crazy how fast it moves. And out here, obviously, with the humidity and the bit of funk in the air that Southeast Asia has, it runs absolutely riot. So that's something I think any of the boys that come out, or whenever I come out, it's like, you know, carry some betadine in your fucking bum bag and be ready to go, dab it straight away. If you just, like, you know, I don't know if you can tell I got a bit of hair happening. So the follicles just fucking get infected and you get a bit of an ingrown, and next thing you have staph. So I'm pretty diligent with that. Yeah.
That's good, man. So you're the current Eternal MMA Welterweight Champion, man. Your last fight was in March 2023, Kaleb Rideout, man. What do you feel about your fight, your performance in that one, man? It was a real grinding affair. You kind of just dominated him.
Yeah, look, Kaleb, obviously going into that, had a fair bit of hype around him, and he's pretty exciting, and he's wild. He's very wild. I wouldn't say, you know, he's probably like that technically looking like amazing K1 style striker or Muay Thai striker, but he's got that X factor. So we knew that going in, and I just took his weapons away and you know, ground him out, slammed him a few times, and got the finish. It was a good performance for me. You know, I didn't get punched. I choked him out and captured the belt. But, you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I've watched it back many times, and I'll always nitpick at what I do wrong, even though when I'm winning and it seems like it's right. That's just the nature of this game and my personality. So, look, happy to have the belt, but always something to improve on for sure.
Man, that's the nature of the guys that, you know, excel in sports, especially fighting sports, is that they can go back to the drawing board and improve every time, man. And what things did you think you could have done better in that fight?
Look, obviously, I'd love to touch gloves and throw a wheel kick, spinning head kick knockout. That's the dream, right? Look, for me, I think I nailed 10 out of 10 shots. But I chain wrestled. I would have loved to have sort of run him with a blast double, but maybe get some more elbows in. I clinched him up and hit him with some knees and elbows. A little bit more striking on display could have been cool, but I suppose that's when you start rolling the dice with someone at his level. And you know, he knocked out Benny Johnson, who's a great Muay Thai fighter, with a spinning back fist or elbow, and that was sort of his signature. So we put some systems in place to negate that. Look, maybe I'm being critical and a bit of an asshole to myself, but as you said, that's the nature of the people that want success, right? You know?
Yeah.
It's funny, I was talking to a close friend of mine who just recently retired, JJ Ambrose, and was saying how after your victories, like, you get hit with I get hit, I'm going to talk for myself here, I get hit with a bit of a bout of depression, mate, like, because the task has been achieved and you did it, but it's like, what's next? And I can never be satisfied with sitting on my laurels and, it was a great fight and I won the belt and I'm the best in the country. And like that wasn't the sense of fulfillment. It's the journey sometimes. And like, I find that I can be hypercritical on myself on the victories. And, you know, I've only lost once in my pro career, and I had a sense of clarity after that, and I wasn't too hard on myself. I was like, okay, this is what I need to do to improve. You know, I need to stop working 60 hours a week as a plumber. I'm fighting guys that are fucking pros here. Like, it was very clear. Whereas, you know, with the wins, and especially I've been finishing everyone and not really getting hit, it's like, what we're doing is working. Fuck, what do I need to do to improve? I don't know, that could be a bit of an illness I've got in my brain, mate. But it's led me to success in this, and it's just something, that's why I've got good people around me that go, hey, you did this well, but let's remove your ego out of this and your addiction to success, and let's say, hey, you did this, but let's sort of go around and maybe we'll work on your leg kick or your switch kick and take your mind off that. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, just something that pops to mind a little bit. When I look at Islam Volk, I feel like your style's a little bit pressure, like grappling, like Islam. And when I look at between Islam and Khabib, one thing I think Islam could have done better in that fight is use striking during the grapple a little bit more to kind of disrupt Volk a little bit more. And I wonder if you feel that you could use striking in the grapple a little bit more than you do.
For sure. The issue is, and as with Islam and Volk, it's like you've got such a dangerous guy underneath you, and Volk's so scrambly.
Yeah,
you let him up, give him a chance. So yeah, it's like this catch-22.
Yeah.
And that's something, this grappling style that I'm implementing is something that's not used so much in Australia, and it's not even something I've really used earlier on in my career. It's only since I've gone pro, so still figuring it out, and everything's a learning process. And I think I've subbed the last 6 guys out of 7, so maybe I'm doing something right.
That's true. That's true. Now, I was thinking exactly what you said, that maybe just trying to maintain that such tight pressure that maybe it doesn't give you the openings, and like you are releasing a bit of pressure to use a hand or something, right?
For sure. It's like you're imposing your will so hard on the guy, they give you the option as opposed to forcing the option and chasing it, which you would with the strike. So yeah, it's just a little bit. There's so many ways to skin a cat with this, right?
Yeah. And talking about that wrestling, talk about your background a little bit, man. I heard you mention in an interview that you have a Muay Thai and a kind of wrestling background. I think you were saying you were like bridging the gap with a submission game. How did that come about? That you were sort of Muay Thai and wrestling. Where did it all start and develop?
I think every sort of young guy, when they think fighting, is like, you think a big KO, right? So that led me to striking and Muay Thai and falling in love with that. I never wanted to do MMA. I always wanted to be a striker, and then I sort of fell into it. My coach had a fight and he just chucked me in. I was a young kid with balls that were too big for his brain, so I just fucking didn't, and then fell in love with the MMA and grappling. And then I had a bit of a break from the sport, and I was doing some strongman stuff and just, doing some S&C and staying healthy. And I thought, if I'm going to come back and do this, I need to wrestle. And I just, Googled, wrestling in Victoria, and fortunately found a club, like a straight wrestling club, 20 minutes from my house. And it was run by this Russian guy with this weird name, and I thought, I'll just go down there. And I had some wrestling shoes from doing MMA, and I went down, and turns out like Connor Evans, who was like a 6-time national champ, was down there the first day I went. And the coach was like this standoffish, mean Russian guy called Kostya. And I just went there and started to wrestle. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, this is, an art form. I thought it was just boring grappling before, and then I had those two, and they really took me under their wing. And then like a year later, I turned into a half decent wrestler, and I'm still trying to work on that and improve on that. And that's obviously something as a country that we don't grow up with like they do in Europe and the States. So yeah, it's just something I'm chipping away at. And I like the wrestling. It's kind of like the bridge between the boring jiu-jitsu stuff that nobody likes and the fun, exciting striking stuff. Like, you're hitting people while you're grappling, and I wrestle pretty hard. And so, I kind of fell in love with that. And then because the wrestling was such an interest of mine, that re-peaked my excitement to do jiu-jitsu, because I'm like, I can basically just wrestle and do jiu-jitsu. And then I fell back in love with the grappling. So, it's kind of worked out for me, I'd say.
On the boring jiu-jitsu question, do you ever do gi, or it's all no gi just in relation to your MMA?
I never do gi. I own two gis. I think I've worn them probably 10 times in total when I got my blue belt. But yeah, I'm not a gi guy. I think that'll be something later in life once I retire that I might go back to and do some judo and some BJJ once I'm old and worn out. But yeah, the passion for me is the wrestling, freestyle, Greco-Roman, folk style, and the no-gi jit stuff for sure.
Fair enough, man. I thought maybe you might have been inspired, being Italian heritage. I thought you might have been inspired by Rocky or something, bro. I was hoping for that sort of story. I watched Rocky
not
and
at
I
all.
went out.
I was playing soccer before that, but none of that. None of that.
I heard you mention that you played soccer in an aggressive sort of way, so that kind of led it on a bit.
Yeah, well, look, I was good at soccer. The guys I played with, made the EPL, English Premier League, and played for Australia and, played A-League, and they were all really good. They were probably a little bit more skillful than I was, but I played pretty hard, man. I think I played soccer like a fighter. I didn't really play like a soccer player too much. So,
yeah.
A
bit of full contact soccer.
Yeah, for sure. And I enjoyed hitting people, so that's probably not. I should have played footy, really. My mum's a pom and wouldn't let me play footy, so she only let me play soccer.
Fair enough. I was the same when I was young. So you're at Absolute MMA. How is the training there? How's the gym, man? Which location are you at, like when you're back in Australia?
Yeah, so I actually live literally 70 meters from the Collingwood gym.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's where like Simon Carson, our head coach, MMA coach is. So all the boys, we sort of orientate ourselves around Collingwood, and that's where the fight team trains out of.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, I haven't been heading down to St Kilda too much, but obviously that's probably, one of probably even the best credentialed BJJ no-gi gym in Oz and doing big things world stage wise. So we've got that, and then the CBD location as well. I do a bit of coaching there as well as Collingwood when needed. So yeah, mainly out of Collingwood.
And man, absolute MMA, you're having some success. Obviously, the latest you've already mentioned in a few interviews, Jack Jenkins kicking a bit of ass. What do you guys do? What are you guys doing differently there that kind of, starting to help you guys get up there and lead the pack and fight internationally?
That's pretty good question, man. I've been around a lot of gyms, in the States, Thailand, back home too. And there's good athletes everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So what I think the defining feature of our gym is organization, programming, and methodology. Methodology. Oh God.
Methodology.
Yeah, thank you, man. Methodology. That's definitely what sets us apart, because your top 5% of guys will be good no matter, even if they're in a shit system. Because just blessed athletes, right? But it's that top 10% that benefit from having a good system. Yeah. And I think we're reaping the rewards of that on both on the pro level and then on an amateur level. We've got a lot of guys coming through, and everyone's got a different style, but the pyramid or the base of our MMA is very wide. So that allows each of us to branch off to our own style and really implement that. Like, Jack fights very different to how I fight, to how Khan Offley fights, to how Lisa fights. We all fight very different. So, yeah, the proof is in the pudding in regards to the system that we're following. And, if you look at the British Empire, they weren't the best at anything but organization, or the Roman Empire, logistics, helped them carve out empires throughout the world. So it's not like this one thing where, oh my God, we've got the best striking coach in the world. It's that we're linking everything together, and we've got a system, and everyone's locked in and following the system. And yeah, it's just programming, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I was talking the other day to someone. They were talking about how the best fighters can adapt to adapt to whatever type of fight they need to fight at the time. And I think if you have that base, if you have that broad base, that then you branch off and you specialize in an area or whatever, but you've still got that base, you should be able to adapt to anything. Yeah.
100%. Like, MMA fighters are not the best punchers. They're not the best kickers. They're not the best grapplers. They're not the best wrestlers. But the key in this is being a Swiss Army knife with a specialty. And I think we've got a bit of a system nailed for that, and we're doing really well. So it's going to be exciting times in the next sort of 12 months to 5 years with the plan Simon's got going. So yeah, it's cool, man. It's exciting times, and it's nice to be a part of, and it's nice. I've had a lot of fights, both pro and amateur, and it's nice to be able to have a little bit of input into that too, and hopefully guide some of the boys as well.
That's good, man. Good to continue that evolution together. Talking about the same sort of line of questioning, man. You're the champion at the moment. What do you do differently that places you apart from some of the other guys?
I think I'm much better looking than anyone. So that, like, my wife's gonna fucking kill me. Seriously though, what I do different is, to me, this is my passion, right? So I love it, but I treat it like a full-time job. My professionalism is a little bit different to a lot of people. Some might say it's borderline obsession. I think naturally I'm a decent athlete. Yeah, cool. But what's the saying? Talent, hard work, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard that, right? I think I've got a good combination of both. And I've only had to display probably a quarter of my skill set in Australia. So there's plenty more in the works, but why show all my hand of cards when I don't need to? My confidence is, in my opinion, very well founded. So that's always a nice thing. A confident fighter is a dangerous fighter. And yeah, I live and breathe this. So that's what sets me apart from everyone else.
Nice, man. Sounds exciting. What we're gonna see from you. Hey, on the extra little things that people do, are you kicking off with all the add-ons everyone does these days? Is that sort of part of your gym where you're doing your saunas, ice bars, nutritionists, watching you sleep, all these sort of things?
So I think it's pretty simple with that. There's no magic pill. Some of the boys go off and do a float. Some guys do cryo. For me, I like the sauna. I just enjoy it. I also like a cold shower. And I sleep a lot, man. Like, for me, sleep's my little key to recovery. Like, I'll go to bed pretty early, wake up, train, eat, sleep, do the afternoon session, sleep, do the night session. So sleep's my little hack. But I'm not doing anything that's, I'm not jumping around in a spaceship or doing some CO2 injections I don't know, any of that bullshit. I think I'm just turning up a lot. Sleeping and turning up and eat. I always eat well. So yeah.
On the eating world, do you have someone guide you or you just do it yourself?
Yeah, so I've been working with Jack, the combat dietitian. So since I think my third pro fight, I've been working with him. And look, I've always known how to eat well. My family's been good like that. They're wogs, and we've always eaten well. And Mum's always looked after me. And even from way back in the day, like, all the other kids were eating roll-ups at lunch, and I had an apple. So I hated her at the time for it, but it's kind of worked out. So that's just ingrained in me. I will I will have a bit of candy every now and again. I got a bit of a sweet tooth or teeth. But yeah, just eating well. Like, I ate the same thing pretty much every day, and I eat healthy and stay away from fried shit, ice creams and all of that.
Yeah. Well, you look at the food that the fight dietitian gives all the top dogs, and it's quite often got some of the things that they enjoy, because you guys are burning the calories. it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
sometimes to have something you enjoy, right? As long as it's controlled.
100%. Like, I reckon I could eat a block of chocolate a day and still look how I do and perform how I do. I'm just training so much, man. Like, I think I read back in the day Michael Phelps was eating pizza and eating candy all day because he was training so much. So, like, on the base, really, it's calories in, calories out, right? But you want to have the fuel in the correct calorie format or macronutrient format to support your training. So, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Been blessed to have Jack come into my life and help me out with that, really.
Yeah, it's a real science now. It's just amazing to see what the guys are eating, like pre-weigh-in. Like some of the food, you're like, what? They can eat that? Like back in my day training, we'd like be just starving, just starve yourself. That was the methodology.
For sure. Even like when I started, like my first fight, there was no internet resources for that, or no combat dietitian or fight dietitian. It was just like, hey, don't eat any carbs and don't eat any food. And then you feel like shit come time to compete. So kind of, it's changed a lot, hasn't it, since back in the day?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So over in Thailand at the moment, man, what have you been up to? Anything interesting happening over there? Anything new?
It's Thailand, right? So there's fucking interesting shit going on all the time.
Yeah.
Some of it I'll divulge, some of it I won't. You know, like you'll be walking down the street and you'll have some chicks or what you think are chicks trying to pull you into a massage parlor, or you'll be walking down the road and you'll see someone run straight into a light pole, which I did the other day. Like, it's just controlled chaos out here, and I'm a little bit of a chaotic guy, so I thrive out here, mate. Like, I have a shit-eating grin on my face walking down the street and seeing the power lines hanging down, and it's crazy. I'm sure everywhere else in Southeast Asia there's some quirky stuff going on, but for us coming from Australia, like with this clean, like wholesome, everything works, everything's on time, and then you're out here, you just got to go with the flow, and it's pretty wild. I think the thing that really makes it is the people. Like, I've got lucky to have a good connection with all the trainers, and even though I speak probably fuck all Thai and they speak fuck all English, we can have a laugh. And I fed them some Vegemite the other day and told them it was chocolate, and that so that's payback for them feeding me some fucking fermented fish bile. So just fucking around, man. You got to do some shit to keep the mind occupied, because it's a grind. It's a grind what we do.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah. No, the Asian thing, like I'm from Australia. I've spent like 10 years seriously working in Sydney, and then I've been over here for 16 years, and it still feels like fresh to me because it's just a different culture and people do things differently. They think differently, act differently. It's just a different world, and it keeps you interested in life, you know?
100%. Like, I've been traveling to Thailand since I was 16, so that's 15 years. And every time I come here, it changes, but it's still got that same essence. And it's a beautiful place, and the people are beautiful, and the situation can change at the drop of a hat. So you got to be on. And for someone like me, I enjoy it. For some people, it can be a bit overwhelming, I think, because we're so safe and protected in back home. And here you kind of living with a bit of street smarts and working stuff out and hustling around. And it's cool, man. It keeps me locked in to life for sure.
Yeah. For one thing for sure is Australian style, we're real rigid in the way we think and act, real rigid. But in Asia, they're just a bit more loose on things, man. It's like you said, you got to use your savvy and that to get by a bit better, you know?
Yeah, I think that rigidness sort of and rule following, and that is a part of our culture, and it has its positives and negatives, just as the wild going by the skin of your nose out here has its positives and negatives. So hopefully I can kind of combine that and meet somewhere in the middle and have the positives from both sides. look, it could work out terribly, and I have the negatives from both sides, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm 31, so I'm still figuring it out.
No, that's it, man. I'm sure you're picking up the right things. It's good to have that extra, different outlook to kind of learn from. Man, you mentioned about like you're over there, a lot of people party in Thailand. I heard you mention something about staying off the beers and whatnot. Do you stay away from drinking and that, and why?
Yeah, man. So I've done enough partying for probably 4 lifetimes, I'd say. I came here when I was 16 with a pocket full of cash without any parents. So you can imagine what a boy that thought he was tough and from the streets did with that. I partied it up, and, up until probably my early 20s, I was, a bit of a machine on the sesh. So I got it out of my system. Look, I'll have a drink maybe once a year, but I haven't for a very, very long time, and my life's a lot more positive for it. And I've fucked around with drugs and all of that stuff as a young man, and it was nothing but negatives for me as a person, a man, and a member of society. And it's not something I'll ever go back to. And sink and piss leads me to that. It's a bit of a trigger for me.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to say I won't slip up, because I'm not a perfect man, but I'm a better person not on the piss, I'd say.
I heard the guy, one of the other interviewers, ask you like, what 3 fighters would you like to have a drink with? And you said John Jones, Sean Strickland, Mike Perry. I think that kind of shows what you might be on the piss, because if you want to hang out with guys like that, that's not leading to a good place.
Yeah, I know. I've got that in me, that wild streak, and the fighting kind of tames it. But fuck, that would be a night out, wouldn't it?
For sure. Crazy, right? Crazy. Man, I'm pretty pumped for September. I'm coming back home to watch UFC 293. I see you're looking at trying to get on either UFC 293 or Eternal in Sydney. That's going to be a massive weekend.
It's going to be huge, and it's going to be awesome, both for me personally and for the country, to have the UFC in town and Eternal on that weekend. And I guarantee, I'll be on one of those. I've just seen Blood Diamond got announced.
Yeah.
So that's another welterweight fight on there. So, I'm going to be ready if anyone, God forbid, gets injured or can't make it or something like that. So I'm going to be ready and rearing to go, whether that's me defending my belt or getting on the big show. I can't wait. I'm fucking pumped for it, man.
It's going to be good, man. On that Blood Diamond, man, I looked up his opponent, like, please be a striker. Please be a striker. And it's looks like a wrestler. And I'm like, no, I want to see him strike. I want to see a striking class up there.
Yeah, because he's awesome, man. He's so fun to watch. And, I've watched him for years on King in the Ring. And I played pretty keen attention to exciting guys like that. So it would have been good. But hopefully he can keep it standing and work some of his magic, because he is exceptional.
Yeah, and obviously he's been working grappling for some time. It's just that I would just like to see, out of interest, him fight us in a stand-up war, just with one of the guys that likes to stand up. But it looks like they're matching him up with tough opposition, which is pretty normal in UFC, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. All right, before we go, bro, I just have one more question. I just heard this question the other day, and I thought it sounded kind of cool. I don't know what interview I heard on, but they said, would you rather fight 21-year-olds or 50-year-olds?
Oh, shit. I think, so my old man's 53 and he's tough as fucking nails. I probably wouldn't want to fight him now, to be honest, and I can fucking scrap, right? I don't think I'd want to fight 50 men from that era. Give me the soy boy 21-year-olds for sure. For sure, they probably don't even know left and right and what pronoun they are. So, yeah, give me them for sure. Give me the young guys. I'll take them out. Yeah. The old boys, they're nasty. They'll pull your eyeball out and bite you and shit like that. So, yeah, give us the young guys for sure.
Yeah, that's actually similar to the answer that I heard someone say, about the soy boys or whatever, 21-year-olds. A different generation, right?
It is a different generation. And, I'm 30, so I'm like an old timer to them, and yeah, I reckon, yeah, I'll take the young guys for sure.
Nice. All right, bro. Well, thanks for your time. Look forward to. I'll be down there, like I said, watching UFC. So I'll try and get along to Eternal as well. Either one, I'm going to see you there, and look forward to seeing you perform, bro.
Legend, thanks for your time, Toby. I really appreciate it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. Hey, bro. I usually ask if people want a rashie or something because I got some rashies with my name on it and stuff, my brand on it, and some picture on the front. If you're interested, I can chuck one down to you.
Yeah, I'd love one, man. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
I'll send you a picture.
I really appreciate this. I'm not in the UFC yet, and it's guys like you that are giving people like me a bit of a platform. And thank you, mate. I do appreciate it.
No, thanks, man. It's no thing, man. It's nice to talk. It's pretty cool, right? Like most people that fight or have fought or whatever are like cool people, like 99%.
Yeah.
So it's nice to just have a chat and also catch you before you're famous, bro. Why not?
Thank you, man.
All right, bro. Hey, I'll send you a message about that to give me an address on that for the rashie. All right.
Beauty,
All right,
Ledge. Thanks, Toby.
Take it easy, man. Bye-bye.